presenting The Wave by LA Top Team.
That's like an automatic plastic. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's like a bar. It's like a behind the bar backer, so you go.
That's awesome.
And then it closes. Craigslist special. Because I'm trying to go for like the, semi-man cave sort of feel.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really cool. Just like an office, like a shared office suite.
Exactly. So how I got it was there's a big old, like a conference room right there when you walk in, and I looked at basically like the Airbnb of office spaces, and I was like, I can use that for the day. Because I was just having like, what do you call that? Mastermind. I hate that fucking term. But I was having people here for like marketing, and I needed a place because usually I just work from home, and I had my podcast studio from home. Right. And I saw this, and it was available, and I started talking to the Eldad right there, and one thing led to another. I found out this was available, and I also found out that I had been ordering sinks from them. Mm-hmm. They make like sinks and fixtures, and they specialize in farmhouse sinks. So all of my sink orders had been coming through here, and I had no idea.
That's really crazy.
So
small world.
Yeah, man. Where's your office?
Our offices are in Beverly Hills, actually. A similar situation. Have a Regis suite, too. So, not that this is a Regis suite, but same concept.
A lot more corporate.
Yeah, I also work from home a lot, too. I've got a home office, which it's hard to peel me away from there. It's nice to be able to, get taken care of and have my fiance make me lunch and
exactly.
not have to leave.
Yeah, that's what... I had the problem working from home, though. When you got to have people there. Not having an office space is not that good for when you got to have people here. Have an interview like this.
I agree. No, I'm with you. Sometimes I get out just so I avoid the distractions.
So you got a fiance now. Mm-hmm. Same girl you've been dating, obviously, for a number of years.
Finally made an honest woman out of her.
Good, man. You got a date.
April 7th.
A few months. 6 months. Where's the location?
Maui?
Mm-hmm. Gonna do a getaway getaway wedding.
That cuts down on the number of guests that attend.
Right. Started building the guest list. Has the stress set in yet?
Not really. I pretty much delegate it all. It's. I look at it. It's like it's her wedding, not my wedding. So it's whatever she wants. I just sign the bills.
So Beverly Hills is the new turf.
Just nice central location. It's kind of in the middle of everything. We were downtown before, and I live on the west side, and it was just kind of a pain in the ass commuting back and forth.
Excuse the cell phones. We're normal people and leave our cell phones on sometimes. So if you hear it, no big deal. We may have to leave it on for an update. You're still living on the west side, but you're working. Beverly Hills is west side to me, really. Everything west of Hollywood to me is west side because I live here, this area.
Yeah, it's I live in Brentwood, so it's not too bad. It's like a 15-minute commute, depending on what traffic's looking like, what time of day.
You have a brother, right? Mm-hmm. Just one?
Yep. Younger brother, younger sister.
Younger brother, younger sister? Mm-hmm. How old are they? About my age? Late 20s?
My younger brother is 30.
Okay.
My younger sister is 27.
What do they do?
Younger brother works in commercial real estate in our family business. Younger sister is a journalist, works for a couple different magazines in New York. Actually, was just published in the New York Post today.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So your family's in real estate?
Too. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
My family's in real estate. That's how I got here.
That's awesome. Yeah. My mother's side of the family. So my mom's maternal grandfather ended up going into business with my mom's father, so his son-in-law. My dad was is in commercial real estate, but he's done some other stuff too. And then my brother now works for my maternal grandfather.
Cool. Mm-hmm. He's just a broker? Sales, leasing?
My brother has his broker's license, but he's on the leasing side now. My grandfather owns like somewhere around 30 to 40 properties throughout California, Nevada, Arizona.
That's the goal.
I think he has some in Texas, or used to. Might have divested of them at this point.
That's the goal. Mm-hmm. So it's your great grandfather that started, or your grandfather that started the real estate?
So my great grandfather and my grandfather were both working in real estate concurrently, but not together, and then ended up joining forces, I think, in the late 50s, I want to say. Mm-hmm.
And is that all here in California?
Mostly in San Diego area, yeah.
So you guys are like third, fourth generation San Diegans?
I'm a fourth generation San Diegan, yeah, which is very rare.
Yeah, that's what I was putting the math together, and I'm thinking if you're third or fourth generation anything, It's pretty rare. Fourth, especially.
My family's been in San Diego since the turn of the 20th century.
I was just down there this weekend in the Gas Lamp.
It's a great place.
Great
I
place.
love it. I'd like to move down there ideally, but
That's what me and my girlfriend were talking
control
about.
those decisions completely. You should if you could, man. Honestly, I think it's a little bit slower pace of life. It depends if you want the faster life up here, which some people do. Not so much for me. I moved up here because I thought, like, business-wise, it made sense. But I think if I had my druthers, I could be down there. I just need to be somewhere where there's a major airport nearby.
Right. And I mean, and you went to school here, so it was really comfortable to stay close, right?
I did. Yeah, I went to law school back down in San Diego, though, so I've kind of bounced back and forth.
Okay. So that's what me and my girlfriend were talking about. They're super dog friendly. Kids all over the place. I like the military presence too. Feels super safe. Everybody's got like military tats.
Got multiple bases there. Especially if you're like coastal San Diego. The way LA is built and the way San Diego are built are a lot different. LA is like a kind of east to west city, if that makes sense. Like the way the urban map is. Like the 10 freeway and the 405 freeway, but mostly like Los Angeles, as you think about it, is along the 10.
Right.
San Diego is built along the 5 freeway, which runs from Oceanside all the way down to the border. And of course there's eastern San Diego. Like that's not where I grew up though. So I grew up in like coastal San Diego, North County, so kind of like above where the 805 and the 5 are, where they merge. That's kind of like the start of Carmel Valley or Del Mar. And then all the way up to like Encinitas. That's where I spent like predominant amount of my childhood. It's a beautiful place. Like all the towns are kind of like beach centric. A lot of like, the real estate's still fairly affordable. Obviously, there's pockets that are super expensive, but young people live there.
That's where Rancho Santa Fe is, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a little bit more east,
A little inland.
and then like it's like you said, it's fun, it's young, dog friendly, kid friendly, safe. I like to think that my brother and I, we used to come home from school and just be outside every day until the sun went down. And my parents never had to watch us or worry about us. And I know I had friends up here. I lived up here for a little bit during my early teenage years, and it was just so markedly different, like how protective people's parents were over them. It's a just different way of life.
Well, just because I think here in LA, even the nicest neighborhoods, there you look at a crime map. I mean, it may be green, but within a couple miles, there's serious crime going on, and
Things change
that can be
so
scary.
quick. Yeah.
Things change super quick. Where we're at right now in West Adams, you didn't want to come here when we went to school.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real with you. When I parked my car, I like definitely looked around to see what was going on.
Right.
I'm like so naive, and I just learned this. I was up in San Francisco last July 2016 for work, and I parked my car outside my friend's office building, brand new office building, fully renovated, top to bottom. Tech startup firms inside. Didn't think twice about it. Go to lunch with them, and leaving lunch, and I hear a car alarm going off, and I'm like, oh my god, that sounds like my car alarm. Please don't let that be my car alarm. And I went back, and it was broken into. I had left my stuff in the back seat with the car locked. Hadn't thought about it, so took my laptop bag, took my travel suitcase, which had a Rolex in it that my mom left me before she passed away.
Oh,
so like it was a big like wake up call for me that like not everywhere is
This
like
was
San
last
Diego.
week?
This is a year and change ago, like 14
Oh
months
my
ago.
gosh.
Yeah.
Did you have anything data wise in there that obviously that Rolex?
I back up
sentimental
all my
value,
stuff.
crazy.
So, yeah, that sucked for sure.
Shoot, man.
Because that thing was priceless to me for sure.
Right.
And as far as data goes, I back up everything, so I was fine. But I did have this handwritten notebook of like things that I like for my clients that I write down, both on the legal side and on the agent side. And it would be completely worthless to anyone else. Someone else took that thing and just like chucked it in a dumpster, But for me, it was such a bummer to lose it because I had to try and recreate it all from memory. So we'll never know what ideas I might have lost in the ether.
And that was the book.
Yeah.
That was like your book.
That bingo, like exactly like that thing right there.
Exactly, man. This would be hard.
That was the thing. Besides the Rolex, that was the thing I was bummed out losing the most. And I lost a bunch of good shit. Like that was the biggest come up ever for those guys. Like I had a custom Boss suit in the back seat. I had a full travel thing. I had been gone on the road for a week and a half. I lost a laptop, an iPad. Like this was like the biggest score ever.
Dude.
They didn't even know it.
They don't. Well, that just sucks about the book and sucks about the watch. The rest you could get back. Data, watch, book would be my number one. My number one thing. Man, I've been looking to really expand, and I don't know. San Diego is one of the places that I was thinking it's really hard to get flips here. Really hard to get flips. I mean, they're good when you get them. And I'm pickier than everybody, but I just want to get more volume, and I'm not getting enough of it here. And the returns are better other places, so I got to find a place, maybe Vegas, maybe
a lot of bang for
NorCal.
your buck in Vegas. I'm out there every other week right now for work, and you can buy like palaces out there for 500 G's. And
Right.
out here, 500 G's, like what's it gonna get you? You know?
If you get lucky, something in West Adams.
Yeah.
Nothing west of La Cienega.
No way. Yeah.
Not even a condo. Barely a condo. You can get into like a 2-bed, 1-bath condo for low 4s. I'm actually flipping one on La Cienega and like La Cienega and what's below Slauson. Anyway, it's on a street called Evergreen, and I couldn't believe how much it was worth. I was like blown away. But talking about losing stories, I was just in Mexico this June, and I left my phone in the back of the fucking taxi. I got this thing. I don't know if I sit in the back of a taxi or an Uber, I'm leaving something. And I'm getting better at it. Like I check 3 times before I get out, but I left it in the back in Mexico. Hadn't backed my shit up in like 26 weeks. It's like,
oh god,
you haven't backed your iPhone up in 26 weeks. I'm like, I'll be good. I'm never gonna lose this shit. Leave it in the back of this dude's car. And we're way up in Puerto Vallarta, like right off downtown in the hills. Like, I don't know the name of these streets. It's cobblestone roads.
Yeah.
By the time I realized I didn't have my phone, I start bolting. Like, I'm just running. And everyone's wondering what this white dude running through the streets is. I'm like, where's the cab? They're like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, this guy left already.
He came back.
He came back? That's
Dude
awesome.
came back. And I gave him, like, the equivalent of, like, 60 or 80 American dollars, which was solid pesos. And he was like, how much do these things cost anyway? And I was like, oh shit, maybe I should have given him more.
Yeah, seriously. That's lucky he came back. It's a good Samaritan for you, man.
Right? Really, I was super stoked on that. Super stoked. A little luckier than your situation. Didn't mean to
No, you're good,
hit
man.
the other side of the spectrum.
No, you're good. When I first, like, there was a cop station like 2 blocks away from where a car got broken into. And I tried to wave down a police officer, and the first one, like, literally, like, did this when he was driving by, like, saw me waving at him, just shrugged at me. And then these 2 really nice female police officers came and pulled over, and were like, you know, like, we'll fill this out in case, like, you need to make an insurance claim, but you're never going to see that stuff again. And they're like, you know, the direct quote that they said to me was, you know, we're not really given the bandwidth to police petty crimes anymore. And if you have a problem, you can talk to Gavin Newsom about it, because it sucks for us too.
Oh,
So, like, these guys will just literally break in cars all day until they get picked up in the act.
Like caught in the act,
Yeah.
red-handed.
Cuffed, brought into jail, given 3 squares, and then set out in the morning with, like, you know, no real repercussions, and they'll just do it all again.
It's like a reward.
Yeah.
They're like, you're just being
You
watched
don't
for
have,
24
you don't have to
hours.
sleep on the street tonight, and you get 3 meals.
3 meals. Got to get watched. So to be an agent, do you have to be an active attorney?
No, you don't. I was under that impression when I first wanted to become an agent, that every agent was an attorney, but I think it's something around 30% of agents now are attorneys, so it's becoming less and less, which to me is scary for the players, because there's obviously a lot. I've even, you know, this morning on my way here, I've done on the legal side to protect and safeguard my players. So it's kind of a dying breed.
Right. That's I never knew that, because when I was obviously getting out of college and trying to do the pro thing, I thought you had to be. It was like you're an attorney and then you're a sports agent. That's how it goes. But now you say it's not so much.
Yeah, it's less and less.
Has it been a severe decline in the last few years?
Oh yeah, it's getting lower and lower every year. More and more guys pop up and watch these stupid fucking shows. Pardon my French, like Ballers on HBO. They're like, oh,
Is that the Rock show?
Yeah, like I want to be an attorney, or I want to be a sports agent. So like every year, it's more and more of these guys at our conference that are just woefully qualified. The NFLPA, you know, gets paid to license these guys, so it's profitable for them, and therefore profitable for the union.
I see.
Yeah, probably ends up creating some headaches for them in the long run, though.
What's the half-life of an agent?
I think I read that it's something like average life of the business is 3 years.
NFL career, same.
Yeah,
Very much in
pretty.
very much in line.
Yeah.
So but you're an active attorney right now, right? So
Yeah.
to be an active attorney, is it like real estate where every 3 or 4 years you gotta just renew your credentials, or
I have to renew my credentials every year.
every year?
Yeah, and then every 3. God, it's terrible. I don't know. I think it's every 3 years. we have a continuing learning and education requirement, so I have to like continue to stay refined and somewhat as much as you can along with the curve, as the legal climate changes.
Mm-hmm. And you can do any sort of law that you want, really.
Yeah,
it's not like,
I mean, in theory, I could stop everything I want to do and try and become a bankruptcy lawyer tomorrow, but I'd be pretty shitty at it. So.
Right. No, but what I'm saying is, someone called and says, I'm getting divorced, can you help me? You can help them. Or if someone called and said, hey, I'm filing an LLC, can you help me? You can do anything you want.
So basically. My focus, my expertise is primary transactional. So anything that involves a contract, typically I'm well versed in. Broad, obviously that's very broad. There's a ton of types of contracts, a lot of functions they serve, but that's kind of my general rule of thumb. With other areas that I don't have as much experience in, I'm not going to do the client a disservice, so I typically will just refer to someone else.
Right, friends that specialize in that.
Yeah, or just someone I know of that I've heard is good, or what have you.
Very cool. So I saw it was a 5-year anniversary for you. What, like a month ago?
Mm-hmm. Since we started the agency in, I think it was July of 2012.
July 2012. How's it been, man?
It's good. It's an adventure.
You made it over the hump. That 3-year little deal we were talking about.
Sure did. Tooth and nail. It's been good. It's a really interesting job. It's different every single day. I'm happy that we've lasted this long, and obviously I hope that we can continue to grow from here.
In your agency, Empire Athletes, you guys represent football players, baseball players.
Correct. That's it. Football and baseball.
That's it right now? You guys been doing both all 5 years?
We started off just doing football. Baseball's a little bit different because it's a little bit longer route to becoming profitable. A lot of your players might get paid a little bit up front in terms of their bonus, or in our case, I see a lot of it up front in terms of their bonus. But after the time of the bonus, they go into the minors, and in the minors, their pay is so low, vis-a-vis the collective bargaining agreement, which totally it pumps them for all they're worth, basically. That I wouldn't want to invoice a guy. It's like I'm not going to invoice a guy 5% of $1,100 a month. That would be like doing him a disservice.
Right.
I think that might change. I know there's an active lawsuit about minor league wages right now, but those guys won't become profitable again until they get to the majors. So, long story short, we wanted to start with football because the path to profitability as a client is very quick. Come out of school, get drafted or sign, make a roster or don't. If you do, you're profitable.
Right. There's no minor league system. It's you're in the bigs or you're not.
Right. Straight into the fire.
Exactly. Has it been what you have expected? So 5 years ago, when you said, "Okay, sports agent's what I want to be," was it what you expected? Was it? I mean, everything. Meeting people, meeting scouts, and figuring out the game and all of that.
I think so. And you learn the nuances as you go in any business. It's not totally what you expect because you don't know what it's like daily, but it's not too different than I anticipated. I've had some cool experiences, had some shitty experiences. I've had some things that you learn from and you become better from. So I think on the whole, I would say it's probably about what I expected with, some different swings of the pendulum. I think that exists in every career. But you
knew kind of what you were getting into, knew what you were gearing up for.
Sure.
What's changed in those 5 years? Start with the game of football. Obviously, the rules change every single year.
Yeah, the rules are a little bit different. I guess from an actual play of the game standpoint, the kickoff and kick return stuff, that affects us a lot because returners are less valuable than they used to be.
Right.
It's some crazy percentage of kickoffs end up in touchbacks now, so that's a little bit interesting. The concussion stuff obviously has come to the forefront. I think that's changed the landscape of what I do a whole lot.
I wanted to talk. We're definitely going to touch on that CTE study and kind of the implications for NFL in the future.
Yeah, I'm sure you had concussions when you played. I know I had concussions when I played in high school ball. Man. So I can't imagine that repeated trauma for a 12-year NFL career, something like that.
Right.
But yeah, we've become kind of concussion centric. I think for better. I think protecting these players is the most important thing that we can do. I think that the NFL still has a long way to go in terms of what they need to do to protect their veterans that are no longer playing anymore. They're retired players with the symptoms of what they're dealing with, and I don't think there should be any carve out. Should make it any different than any other workers' comp type situation. The league makes so much money, the teams make so much money, the owners make so much money. It's do the right thing.
Right. Yeah, and it's a debilitating. I don't know if it's a disease or if it's an onset sickness. And with the brain, is it a disease?
I think it's a disease. I'm almost positive it qualifies as a disease. It's certainly like a degenerative condition. I'm not a doctor, so I can't speak on like the medical aspects of it. I just know that one of my role models growing up, someone who did some very special things for me in my life as a kid, as an adult, was Junior Seau, and what happened to him,
San Diego icon.
Yeah, what happened with him came out of nowhere and really shocked a lot of people and really shook our community, shook my family. My uncle represented him for over 20 years. He was a wonderful human being, and I saw him, I don't know, maybe like a year and a half before he took his own life, and I wouldn't have picked that out in a million years, that this guy was on suicide watch. And you know, he obviously did that, and I think it shows you like the instant swings that this kind of like, you know, brain deterioration and the resulting symptoms can put you in.
Yeah, and you've seen it. Not only that, I mean, for those that don't know, Junior Seau is one of the all-time great linebackers in football, one of the all-time great Chargers. He took his own life by shooting himself.
Trojan too.
And Trojan. He shot himself in the heart so that he could have brain studies, and nobody knew he was going to do it. And when they did study his brain, it was like really, really bad, which isn't surprising considering how he played, but extremely sad. And not the only case. I mean, wrestlers and other crazy shit that weren't high-profile people that just fly off the handle and
a lot of
crazy,
these guys are
shit,
shooting
man.
themselves in the chest now when they commit suicide because they want the league to be able to study and society to be able to study the brain, because they know what's wrong with them,
right?
And no one's been listening to them. And I think a lot of people didn't grasp, they didn't put two and two together, and you know, myself included, all of us included, that the concussions led to symptoms that, you know, were evidentiary of this like underlying condition, and that condition is what was making these people go through these struggles later in this life. I always say that being a football player is much like, you know, it's our modern day gladiators. You know, like these people literally give their lives to do what they do. Like the average lifespan, like if anyone's curious about that, look at the average lifespan of an NFL player and look at compared to like a normal civilian, and just see like what these people have given to do what they do.
I mean, what I'm really happy about is there's an awareness amongst the players. Like my friends that are still playing are aware of it. My buddy who still plays for the Broncos is aware of it. Whereas I don't know if it was just me or if it was a general attitude where if it was like, hey, what happens happens. But I think we said that before we really knew what the fuck happened.
For sure.
We're like, what happens happens. We're warriors. But when you realize like, oh, that's what happens. Like the first wave of people that had experienced those multiple concussions from, you know, the new retrofit helmets and all that.
Right.
We're having serious things going on. It's like, fuck.
Yeah, and you know, we got in this like,
maybe it's not what happens anymore,
right.
You know?
We got in this thing where people were so like, you know, the big hits, like that stuff, the guys who were laying people out, like those are the people you liked and you listened for, you know, and followed. But that really ended up being a problem. And you see like nowadays that those big
was
hits,
championed,
right? And now those big hits are like, you know, we try and steer away from them.
Well, I cringe when I see them. Like, you probably remember Luke Kuechly's concussion last year. Oh, that one hit me so hard because the way he was crying when he woke up was so scary. He wasn't crying because he was sad. He was crying because he was scared as shit.
Fearful.
He didn't know where he was. He didn't know what happened, and he knew the implications. I think he was processing like, oh, I just got knocked out cold on a football field.
Like I just really might have done something in my brain
permanently, and I only have like 1, 2, or 3 of these hits.
Yeah,
scary, dude. I just had a pretty serious concussion like about a week and a half ago. I got rear-ended into my car, dude. So
head snapped back and hit your head. Your
no,
headrest.
I think I got hit so hard that the shift that my spine did away from my head shut my brain off. And I woke up, my airbags had expelled because my car hit the car in front of me. And I woke up and I was just like, what happened? And you obviously hear like the whoa, you know, the ring after you get hit in the head. And I was tripping, dude. And I was like depressed for a few days, you know, like I was inexplicably depressed, like I had done something wrong.
You know,
when I got rear-ended.
Whiplash does that to you too sometimes. Like, because I think that there's a lot more to whiplash than just your neck of violently jerking. My fiance got rear-ended like really bad 4 or 5 years ago, and she was depressed for like a month after the car accident. And I was trying to figure it out. I'm like what's going on with you? Like you didn't do anything wrong. Like you were a victim here, you know? And she's like, I don't know. I can't explain it. Like I wake up feeling this way every day right now. And she talked to one of her friends who also was in a really bad rear ending, and she said the exact same thing.
How weird. I've never talked to anybody about it, but this is the first time I said it, and there's 2 cases that you've heard of. So that, I mean, it doesn't surprise me, the depression after a concussion. That's like a thing that you hear about, you know?
Alters your brain chemistry, man. Like, think about it. Your brain is like the consistency of oatmeal, and it's banging around in this, you know, semi-hollow cage. When stuff bruises, like, why is it any shock to us that it's not working right? You know?
And the cage is hard.
Yeah, think about when you bruise, like, your pec, or, like, when you bruise your hamstring or strain your hamstring. Like, you're done with that function. You're not going to use that thing to bench press. You're not going to use that thing to kick. So, like, why should your brain be any different with its essential function?
I hope it keeps trending that direction. It definitely has to. It's going to... I mean, that's going to change the actual game, like the game. And you see linebackers getting smaller. A lot more safeties are turning into linebackers. And you see, obviously, penalties for helmet-to-helmet collisions all over the place, and they're adding them. So that's good. I just hope it doesn't, you know, take too much away from the game. But
I'm with you.
See how it goes.
I love the game myself. Like, that's why I'm in this. But you know, I think I'd like to think that we can all prioritize, you know, human life and well-being above something that we enjoy seeing as diversion. Right.
Now, we've talked about how the game changed. Now, what about the, in quotes, like the game, the backside? How has it been since, you know, all this technology has been available? Everybody has film now. You know what I mean? You can reach, I mean, even 5 years ago, you could text a scout. You could do that. But now it's so... You could text whoever. You could do whatever. How has that side of things changed in the 5 years you've been involved? You guys still faxing paperwork?
No. Yeah, it's all done via, like, a lot of it's electronic. Like, even the SRAs are fully electronic now.
Because I remember the NFL was, like, faxing paperwork for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And it was, like, a thing. Everyone's like, what the fuck's going on here, guys?
I wouldn't say too much has changed there, honestly, man. Like, I think if you went back 10, it'd be a different story. But I think the last 5, if anything, you know, we've just become a little bit more tied in on our phones. And it's a little bit easier to watch players that you're scouting. And I think it's a little bit easier to, like, you know, communicate instantaneously. But other than that, I don't think there's anything really that's, like, been a dynamic shift. I know on my end, I use social media to recruit players. And 5 years ago, you know, not many people were doing that.
No.
And I think nowadays it's become more common.
So when you look for players, do you just get like the Blesto list? Or do you kind of put some feelers out? Or
I can't, you know, these lists have led me astray before. So I really try and trust my eye now as much as I can. You know, I look at things, I look at trends, I look at measurables, I look at, you know, you can't teach height, weight, speed that comes from the man upstairs or from mom and dad or however you want to put it. I also look at personality traits as much as I can. Not that that's a huge part of it, but if there's a guy who just, you know, doesn't have much going on between the ears, then it's tough for me to represent that guy, and I've learned the hard way, and sometimes I can still make that mistake because you get enamored with the way a guy can play. I think teams make that same mistake too, but you've been around it, man, like you know as well as I do. The guys who are truly successful aren't the guys who are just physical freaks. They're the guys who have that ability to some extent and then also are smart and savvy, or like just get it on you know, in terms of the game, or you know, the professionalism aspect.
We have a solid agent like Empire. Walk you through that. You just worry about the play side. Dude, so you know Gary Vaynerchuk? You heard the name?
Name rings a bell.
Okay, he's like this. He's like he owns a media company called VaynerMedia, and he has blown up over like the past 2 years for just championing, creating content and social media, using social media. But he's a wine guy, like an old school wine guy. In the last season or 2 seasons, he just got into sports representation, and he's got a couple football players, and one of them's a punter. And I was like, dude, my guy's got all the punters. What the fuck's going on here? That was my initial thought. I was like, wait a minute. We were supposed to have the stronghold on that. What's going on?
I know. I don't. The specialist stuff is just, it's so tough because there's so few jobs. Like there's teams aren't carrying backup punters, man. There's 30 punters and 30 kickers in the league, so you got to have a really good one, or you got to get lucky, or a guy's got to be right place, right time.
I try to explain that to people, like how much luck and timing and everything out of your control is involved. I just had a conversation about
this morning. You couldn't be more right, man. Like it's like look, I try my best to place any undrafted free agent or any free agent into the right spot where he has a chance to make the roster. But so much is out of your control. Even if you do that, you don't know if they're going to waiver claim a guy the next day, or they're going to go trade for someone. They're going to sign someone. I just had a kid make the Chargers as an undrafted rookie free agent, a running back. And he was competing against guys who were, 3, 4, 5-year veterans in front of him. And ultimately, the talent won out. So that's how I'm starting to, you see over time these things happen. Like, I can pick as good a spot as I can, but ultimately, so much is out of our control that you just got to go to the guy that can actually just get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And you see some of these really gifted athletes not end up in the right spot, or go where they thought was the right spot, and circumstance dictates they get hurt. A guy ends a holdout, whatever it is, those things change. And it's like, if he had been with another team, maybe everything would have been different. We would have been reading about this guy 20 years from now.
And I don't know any other industry like that where so much is out of your control. I mean, I only know one other industry, real estate. I jumped right into real estate, but shit, as real estate, you make the phone calls. If you do what you need to do, you're gonna get the leads or whatever you need to do the business. But if you run I ran a 4-4. Hundreds of people run a 4-4 that never got a chance, and it's no rhyme or reason why.
Nope.
Agent is a part of it, opportunity is a part of it, but fuck, man, to try to explain that to people is I can't do it. It's hard.
It's really tough.
It's
and you
really
look
hard.
at some of the guys that have played at SC, even guys that you played with, and you're like, how'd this guy make it and this guy didn't make it? Like this industry's filled with case studies like that.
Well, I mean, my best friend Chris Poussin didn't miss a snap. 4-year starter at SC, didn't miss a snap. Got one mini camp invite, and that was it.
See you later.
Crazy.
Yeah. We've had kids that were 3-time all conference, couldn't get signed as a priority free agent, and I was doing everything I could. Couldn't
even get a look into camp or a tryout or nothing.
They got a tryout, but that's it. Yeah.
Man. How about the new cuts? This year's the first year, right? Speaking of cuts.
Yeah.
Straight from 90 to 53.
Big fan.
Okay. So people who don't know, NFL teams bring in 90 people at the top of July, and then traditionally they had 3 cuts and then 2 cuts, and now they've just said you need to have 53 players on your roster by September 2nd.
Whatever the last Saturday is before the season starts.
Last Saturday before the season. So the other, I'm not great with math, but 38.
37.
The other 37, 7 of them will probably end up on a practice
10
squad.
now on practice squad.
10 of those 37 on a practice squad, and the other 27 highly, highly skilled at something that they can't put to use. And that just happened like 2 days ago.
Right.
But it's better.
So much better so it used to go from a cut of 90 to 75, and then from 75 to 53. In that fourth game, you're typically resting a lot of your key players or starters. So it didn't really make sense that you had that cut after week 3, because this should be an opportunity for the guys who, aren't in your first or second or sometimes even third group to go get film and prove what they can do, have that legitimate shot, as opposed to, just what the coaches observed you doing in practice over the last 4 weeks, which is too small of a sample size to judge a football player, in my opinion. So I think now, with that cut being postponed a week, we're seeing this year for the first time a lot of guys get extended action that would have never gotten it before. It makes me kind of wonder, like, how many potential stars did we lose in the shuffle because that cut didn't change until this year?
I mean, and gamers are a real thing. There's gamers and practice guys, and
for sure.
And some of them, it takes them 3 weeks.
I represent a couple of guys who look like dog shit in practice, and then you get them out there on Sunday and they make plays.
Exactly. Sometimes it takes guys 3 weeks to learn a defense, and they're not fast until they know the defense. And then that later cut, I could see that gives those guys an opportunity to kind of...
Some guys were nursing an injury, and they weren't fully healthy, and then they finally get healthy, and it's too late because you had to cut to 75. There's just so many reasons why it makes more sense.
But it makes more sense, and it's good.
Yes.
So what happens to those 27? I know I tagged you in a tweet, and I'd never seen anything like that before. And Who was it? It was like an old receiver.
I think it was Abdullah.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last name. Hussein?
Yeah. Somebody, and he said, go home, apply for, was it unemployment?
Unemployment, workman's comp.
Can you do that?
Well, workman's comp's if you're injured.
Okay.
So that's I think it was a little bit nuanced right there. Unemployment, in theory, sure. I don't really know about it from a football player standpoint. You're going to be actively looking for jobs, but there's as well as I do that it's just like a variable landscape there. Like, you don't know. You might get workouts, you might not. Like,
right.
It's very hard to predict.
Like we said, completely out of the control.
Exactly.
And Canada's not hiring right now.
They're in the middle of their season, so they have a roster expansion at the end of this month to try and get some of those guys up that just got cut. But yeah, their season ends in November, so we're kind of coming up on it right now.
Are you guys still pretty active up there in Canada?
Yeah, we have a couple guys playing up there right now.
You guys playing?
Yeah, 4 this year. And yeah, they're doing well.
So those guys, they go to normal life. Those guys that we talked about getting cut, they go to normal life. They figure out, hourly wage and whatever they can do to work out and stay in shape until they get the call, right?
It just depends how long they want to chase it for. Some guys, want to do it as long as they possibly can. Some guys are like, why they're looking at the percentages and they're like, why play this out? Like, let me start my career and build towards success in another field. So I'll represent a guy and I'll work for him, as as long as they want to play football.
As long as they want to play. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I think that's the realization when someone maybe gets cut and says, that was cool, I'm good though, I want to move on, I get so happy, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or even if they don't get picked up, if they're like, fuck, it's cool, dude, like, I'm good, I don't want to do this for 6 years. Yeah. Because my friends who chase it, it's like it hurts because I'm like, you're so smart, you could do so many other things, you could have a 6-figure salary by now doing something else, man. Right. But chasing the dream, can't put a price tag on that,
I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. And it's a double-edged sword too, because I think some guys call it too early sometimes, where I'm like, if you wanted to do this and you trained all off season and you got in camp, like, you should give it a couple months, like, see where it goes, because you don't want to wake up in 10 years and be like, why didn't I do that? Right. But then there's the guys who, like you said, where it's like you're truly just chasing it at that point. Right. Where I'm like, if the opportunities aren't there, and I'm honest with guys, I was honest with you. I told you like everything that was going on with you at that point. And I'm like, look, here are your options. If you want them, I'm behind you no matter what you want to do. But this is how I look at it.
And things had changed. The only thing that got me there was my 40 time, and I couldn't do it anymore.
Right. Your athleticism was always like your number one trait. Exactly. And when you start having when your body starts preventing you from doing those things again, it's tough.
Yeah. And I realized that. I'm like, okay, the only reason I'm here is because I can do a couple things. And when I couldn't do those things anymore, I'm like, hey, I'm good. I'm good. And when I realized how hard it was to actually make the money that you hear about, the $500K plus or $465, whatever the salary is, shit, man, that's so damn hard.
It can go away any second too.
Any second. Oh, I got a question about going away any second. If you start the season on a roster, do you get paid that full season's myth?
No, not unless, if you have a guaranteed contract as a veteran, you could get paid all the guarantees, but that's it. But yeah, like for a guy, for instance, let's say you were on a roster right now, given your current standing in the league. You come in, you get $465 as the minimum. You get paid in 17 weekly installments. Some teams play bi-weekly, but what I'm saying is like your salary is broken down into 1/17, 16 games plus a bye week. For as long as you're on the 53-man roster, you're getting paid the $465, the top amount. For as long as you're on the injured reserve or suspended, inactive, whatever, anything that qualifies you for the down amount of the split, you get paid 1/17 of that lower split. But the second you're off the roster, you're not getting paid anything.
Wow. I thought if you started the season on the roster, you're paid and they got to figure out what's going to happen. But damn, that sucks. There's no other thing like that where every single day you're on the bubble at work. Like, you better tie that tie tight. You could end up cut. You know what I'm saying? Right. You walk in, there's just 7 dudes lined up, ready to with their fucking
everyone
book bags.
Wants it. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It really is, and it's weird that in other sports your salary is guaranteed, but in football, the most violent sport, the most popular sport, see you later. You're a hired hand.
That's on them though. That's on the NFLPA, right? They gotta come
get
together.
A better deal.
They gotta come together.
Gotta get a better deal this time around.
Call baseball.
Yeah.
Call those dudes.
they have the most powerful union probably on the planet. So anything you could do to emulate them, I think would be a plus.
That's what I was saying. Give them a call. What's some of your favorite stories over the last 5 years? Anything that sticks out? Obviously, you had a real fun year when we were together with Michael and all that.
Yeah, man, that's a good question. I've enjoyed it all. You know, obviously, I think that was like a cool moment in time when we represented Michael Sam. I wouldn't say overall it was my favorite thing that's happened to me because there was some good and there was some bad. This year I think I experienced one of the coolest things is that we represent this player from Loyola Marymount, pitcher, and he's from San Diego originally.
You went to Loyola? No, you're from San Diego. Did you go to all boys school?
No, I went to La Jolla Country Day.
La Jolla Country Day, okay.
So this guy was a pitcher at Loyola Marymount University up here in Marina Del Rey, and he was like a Cape Cod player before his junior season. Cape Cod is the summer league. It's like where the best college players go every year. Okay. And he was on a 10-day contract there, and they like didn't renew him. So basically said like, we're good with the guys we have. Sort of similar to getting cut. He went back, fought tooth and nail to get a spot in the rotation. It was their Sunday starter, which means you're your third best starter on the team, and just got dialed in, like laser focused, through a perfect game. His third start of the season, which is essentially it's like the same in bowling. You hit every pin you could have. Every guy that came up, he sat him down. Not one runner reached base the whole game. No one had done that in the history of the conference before.
And this is, what's it called, the Coastal?
This is the West Coast Conference.
West Coast Conference, okay.
And he just had a lights out season after that. He was a guy people were maybe talking about getting drafted in like the 20th plus rounds. And he ended up having just this incredible season, and I think we were able to do some really good work for him, and he ended up going number 67 overall and signing for over $900,000. So highest player in the history of a school ever drafted. So I think that was a really cool story of someone who just like picked him, like had faced some adversity, picked himself up by his bootstraps, said, I believe in my ability. I'm going to approach the game a certain way, like fuck it, and really like pushed all of his chips in on himself and doubled up.
Why was he able to, okay, so the league that he went to for college players, why was he able to play a season without going pro?
What do you mean?
So,
talking about the Cape Cod Baseball League?
Yeah. Is that like an off-season league?
It's a summer, yeah, exactly. Okay. It's a summer league. So guys, it's an opportunity for like kind of like it's almost like an all-star league, Okay. And all the scouts are up there, all the general managers are up there. It's a very like prestigious league. I was actually just out there this summer for a week. It's a very unique experience.
Sounds kind of like the Senior Bowl.
It is a little bit like that, yeah.
But before your senior year.
Exactly, yeah. But no, that's not a bad comparison at all, yeah.
Similar to the senior year, but before. So he went there, comes back to Loyola.
It would be like if someone said to him at the Senior Bowl after it's like they had an injury and they need someone to fill in for 2 days of practice, and after the second day, they were like, you can go home now. That was the equivalent of what happened to him.
We're good. His shin's good. He'll be back.
Yeah.
Damn. And so he came back. He's like, fuck you. He came back, lights out all season for Loyola. And got drafted super duper high.
Second round.
So the person who picked him up, was he there at the Cape Cod?
He had seen him there. The way it works in baseball is a little bit different. There's like the scouting structure is very tiered. So like a West Coast scout sees him out here, and then a regional cross checker and a national cross checker. Then it funnels all the way up to the general manager. But yes, I'm sure that guy saw him in Cape Cod. But I definitely know that the guy who saw him out here was all over him all season long.
Any guys, names to watch out for that you got on maybe NFL rosters, kickoff return, touchdown?
Well, I got one for Monday night for you. Watch out for number 30 on the Chargers, Austin Ekeler.
Is that the running back?
Yeah, he's running back from a little school called Western State, Colorado. I mean, that's one of the coolest stories that's
Western
happened to me in a long
State,
time,
Colorado?
Too. Yeah, I'll tell that story in a second if you want.
Yeah, definitely.
The other guy I want you to watch is probably your former teammate, Randall Telfer. He's starting for the Browns now at tight end. So
right.
That's a good one.
And he's come up the hard way there.
Oh, man, he's just blue collar all the way.
Was he 6th round or undrafted?
6th round. He came into the league with a Liz Frank injury. Didn't play his whole rookie season.
Liz Frank, his foot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL. Just goes out there and earns his fucking paycheck every Sunday. Like that guy. And Randall's one of the smartest people I know. Accomplished, has a master's degree from SC. Great family. Like he's one of those guys. Like really, if Randall came up to me tomorrow and was like, I've decided I want to like go into this business venture and I'm done with the league, I'd be like, okay, Because
Sounds
like,
smart.
I get it, yeah. But he loves football and he's doing a great job.
And he signed his second contract?
Not yet.
Okay.
He's in his third year in the league right now.
And he's a starter now, so hopefully
just keeps building. They drafted a tight end in the first round this year, but Randall's held them off so far. They have a receiving tight end on the roster that he's managed to stay a step ahead of. I think he really plays Hugh Jackson's brand of football. It's going to enable them to run the ball. So I think if you see Isaiah Crowell have a really good year, you can look at it and be like, Randall was a big part of that.
Right.
The Western State kid, Austin Ekeler,
Right.
I can't even believe I didn't think of that as one of the greatest stories that's happened this year because it is so crazy. I found out about him from a friend of mine who works with the Chargers. And I was talking about guys in his region, and he was like, go take a look at this kid at Western State in Colorado. It's a D2 school in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. And I was like, Western State, Colorado, where's that? You know, like I've never even heard of it. It's a small little school in Gunnison up in the mountains, in the Rocky Mountains. And I'd heard this kid's name like maybe one time before. And so I reached out to him, and he didn't respond to me for months. Like I reached out to him in like June or May, and I think I heard back in like October for the first time. And I find out about this kid, his story. He's from Eaton, Colorado. He had been a big time high school player that didn't get a D1 offer. In fact, his only other offer came from Northern Colorado, and they tried to switch him to defensive back and tried to take him from a scholarship to a preferred walk-on. So he said, kick rocks, and he went to his other offer, which was Western, who believed him in as a running back. His coach, and this has gotten some press recently in the last couple of weeks, but his coach also was Danny Woodhead's coach at Chadron State.
Okay.
So he's seen the mold of the guy that can make it. And he's like, Austin's every bit as good. 6,000 something yards later in a 4-year career, this kid's ready to go. I'm one of the, I think maybe the only, but one of the only agents to contact him even. I believed in him. I sent him to train at this place called Landau Performance in Denver, which is where Christian McCaffrey trained. So they had the D1 and the D2 yardage leaders training in the same facility, which I thought was pretty cool.
And of course, he was so competitive. He's trying to compete with Christian on every drill, everything.
Every single, you nailed that one on the head. That you can already tell the personality type, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to be the leading rusher and understand that I'm going to take my offer.
Yeah.
And being in training, you want to beat the guy next to you because you know you're going to be compared to him.
He's got
in
a
3
chip
months.
on his shoulder. Bingo. And a lot of these D1 guys that go to camp, you saw it, and they expect it to be the same thing as when they're in college. Like, no, man. Like, you don't get told to go home the next day in college if you're not good enough.
Right.
So he has a pro day at University of Colorado. Robert Klemko wrote a really nice little
He didn't even do his own pro
Twitter
day.
thread. Yeah, exactly. Did you see this Twitter
No.
thread? Yeah, so check it out. Robert Klemko writes for the MMQB, did a Twitter thread on it. He was there that day talking to Colorado players. He's a friend of mine, and I ran into him. And I was told him why I was there, who I was with. He assumed I was with a Colorado player. And I'm like, no, I'm with, they're doing a small school pro day after this one's over. And he's like, really? Like, who do you have? And, a bunch of guys who, were basically went to the surrounding schools, could do their pro day on Colorado's turf after with all the scouts there. And some of the scouts didn't even stick around. They were like, we saw the Colorado players. We're all set on the small school guys. Like, I'll get the notes from someone.
Right.
And meanwhile, you've got all these guys, who are probably like, this is the pinnacle of their athletic accomplishments. This is the furthest they'll ever go this day.
Right.
Participating in these drills is the furthest they will ever go. And meanwhile, you got Austin over there with his headphones on in the corner, just shredded, like 5'8", 200 pounds, strongest guy in their weight room too, and like he's all business. So some of these guys are coming up and inverting, 27, 30. Guy hits a 34, and everyone's like, oh wow. Austin comes up there and inverts 41 and a half. And all the scouts, all of a sudden, it's like, when those scenes in the movie where the record stopped, it's like, whoop. Yeah, everyone's like.
Everyone's book opens.
Exactly. And a lot of guys were there to see him anyway, but I don't think they expected him to be as athletically gifted as he was. I think they expected a guy who was, like you said, a competitor, knows the game of football, beat guys up in a small conference. They didn't know he had NFL traits.
Right.
So he does his pro day. It's like...
Was that the first event?
That was the first event. He ran a 4.4 140. He caught every pass that was thrown to him. He repped the 225 22 times at his size, which is, as you can attest to and tell your listeners, that's a serious amount.
It's
of
over
reps.
his body weight.
Wait, yeah,
He lifted
one rep is over his body
exactly.
weight.
Yeah, he lifted over his body weight 22 times on a bench press. Wow.
Yeah.
And everything else obviously was really fast across the board. I imagine
it looked great, and fate has a funny way of working things out. And the team that remained the most interested in him was the same team who told me about him in the first place, was the Chargers. And they were there that day, so it was a bunch of Austin's family. His mom raised, just a school teacher in Colorado, raised him by herself. Just a really close, tight-knit, supportive family. And as the draft winds down, our options become clear. There's 3 or 4 teams I could choose from. I'm like, dude, I feel like we got taken here for a reason. Let's do this, Comes out here, doesn't get a whole lot of burn in the first couple of weeks, is buried on the depth chart, 6th on the depth chart. So there's Melvin Gordon and Brandon Oliver, kind of the consensus top 2 backs for the Chargers. And then they've got Andre Williams, who's a vet, former draft pick. You got Kenyon Barner, who's former huge college player at Oregon. You got Kenny Farrow, who was at Houston and made the team last year as an undrafted free agent and got burned. So Austin's behind all these guys. And eventually things start unfolding. We talked about circumstance. Guys getting hurt. Guys not performing up to snuff. Guys maybe not being a right fit for the new coaching staff. That's how I'll politically put it. And finally, week 3 comes around, and Austin starts getting some play time during the game. Meanwhile, the guys in front of him are averaging less than 2 yards a carry. He does make some plays. He returns the ball really nicely. In game 4, the last week, where you have your more players there now, Austin did over 100 all-purpose yards from scrimmage, and ends up making the team over the last weekend. And as poetic,
he was probably so stoked.
Oh my God, it was incredible. It was one of the most gratifying phone calls I've ever got to make. And talking to his mom, she could barely keep it together. It was amazing. But as poetic justice would have it, where does this season open up? In Denver, Colorado, an hour from where he grew up, and he's probably going to handle the opening kickoff. So the whole thing was just a real great story, heartwarming.
Let's see how he can parlay that opportunity. And his work's just starting. That's what I told him. And exactly.
He knows it. And that's the great thing about him is he doesn't. Some guys get satisfied when you get to certain plateaus. Okay, well, I made a team. Now I can relax. He's and it sounds ridiculous to say, but he's setting these goals for himself that you're why would an undrafted free agent think he can accomplish these things? Because that's his mindset, and that's why he's gotten this far, is because that's the standard he holds himself to.
That's awesome. And he's got a slight blueprint. He's got Woodhead. He say, I've seen somebody do it. I'm going to do it my own way, but I know it's possible.
Right.
For sure it's possible.
Right.
And so I got a question for you. So that guy, so obviously I played at USC and then I played at Sacramento State. I can't tell you how many times I heard guys say, oh, I just never got seen. I just never got seen. And in my head, I'm thinking you did not get seen. You got seen and they weren't interested.
Right.
Is there ever a player that has the measurables and is good enough that just straight doesn't get seen? Or do they get seen and pushed to the side?
Yeah, you're right, man. I hate to burst the bubble of the guys who they want to hang on to that, and they will hang on to that forever. But it's so rare that a guy didn't get seen. And if you truly didn't get seen, that's on you. Right. You should have taken advantage of some opportunities that you had, going to a regional combine or going to a CFL workout. Right. You pay $100 and show up at these things.
Yeah.
Someone would have seen you. And then let me tell you something. If you ran a 4.3 40, or someone saw you and wrote it down.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think that people don't get seen because you see some guys. I have another player, Eric Rogers, who's a D3 player who played in the NFL. D3 is no offense, but it's glorified high school football. So
they'll take anybody.
If you have the skills, you'll be found.
And you don't just get not found. That's what I was saying in my head the whole time. I'm you don't get not found. Yeah. I was talking about not getting found.
I mean, why did you end up in a situation where you got to go to an NFL training camp? Why did Austin get to go to an NFL training camp as opposed to some of these other guys? It has nothing to do with getting seen.
Austin Ekeler. Eccles or Ekeler?
Ekeler.
All right. I'm gonna look out for that this season. Well, Eric's still playing, right? He's
rehabbing an injury right now. Yeah, he's still playing.
But he's on the 49ers roster.
He's not on the roster. They waived him injured when the new staff came in. I don't know why they did, frankly, because they kind of had a free look at him, but it wasn't their guy. So, you understand it. He will potentially have a a good shot, I think, at getting picked up by a team. It's just a problem because the season started now.
He got a big contract, didn't he?
He had the highest bonus ever by
Bonus, that's what it was.
CFL to NFL player and guarantees since Cameron Wake.
Shout out Empire athletes negotiating that contract. Shout out.
Yeah, and he's a great player. He just unfortunately had a non-contact injury. Some shit happens, as they say.
Non-contact, busted his knee.
ACL. Yeah.
Oh my God! Just popped him right off the ground.
Yeah, knock on wood, he should be cleared next week. So, we'll see.
Dude, I remember seeing that. Oh my gosh, I've only seen the one that I know of. ACL injury was so bad it popped the guy off the ground. When he put his foot in the ground to plant, it was Patrick Birdie Hall. He played safety at USC.
The force of it. Yeah.
Oh my God, he was backpedaling and he went to break at a 45, and when he put his foot in the ground, it literally popped him back out, and he just laid on the ground. He's like, I'm done, and he was never the same again. Never the same.
It's a tough injury. It really is. I had another guy tearing his field this preseason too.
He'll be good though. He's running forward, not backwards. Straight line runner.
It's very tough.
And he's resilient. He went to Cal Lu, right?
Yeah, he went to Cal Lu.
Yeah, I know the guy.
And he was in the Arena League. He was in the CFL.
Resilient.
He was a grinder, man.
Pasadena guy?
West Covina.
West Covina guy. That's really close to me. I grew up in Diamond Bar, so right down the street. Hell yeah, man. So what's the plans? What's the plans with Empire moving forward?
Just keep growing it, man. Keep
baseball, football.
Yeah, finding new players, new talent. Keep representing them the best that we can. Keep growing their brands. This is what we signed up to do. We signed up to help people transition their careers from being amateurs to being professionals, and you're kind of in the situation where you get to wear a lot of hats, like I said, and you help these people live the life they want to live, provided that they have the factors that we've talked about to get there.
Are you going to expand in other sports?
I'm
say
not
football slows. Not slows, but the game, say it's out of your control.
Right.
The game changes or something.
Sure. I don't know about other sports. I just don't know enough about them. Like, I know that I've talked about doing soccer. I have one of my partners is really well into soccer, and guy I went to law school with is very into soccer. We've talked about doing that maybe as an option. I don't know enough about these other sports. Like, I'm a baseball and football guy. So, like, it's just tough for me. I have to kind of learn a new language a little bit.
Did Joe go to Loyola? Joe's Cam's partner.
For high school?
Yeah.
No, he's from San Diego also.
Is he?
He went to La Jolla High.
La Jolla High. For some reason, I had in my head one of you guys was an all-boys Catholic school guy. Your brother?
Joe's Catholic. I don't know.
No, I don't remember. I don't know why I'm making that. I don't know why I'm making that connection, but for some reason I was, and I wanted to say that before it slipped me. What about entertainment? You guys gonna do any entertainment stuff? Keep your focus.
I do some entertainment stuff on the legal side, but not representing. Really, well, not in the agent sense. I represent them in the legal sense.
Do you have how many staff members do you guys have at the office? Anybody?
Well, it's just in this industry mostly 1099, so independent contractors.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as part of the organization, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people.
6 people in the office hammering. That's cool, man. That's awesome. And do they? I mean, I was just gonna ask. Obviously, I'll have their own jobs, and you get to go out and do your own thing. Could they help you do your expansion, or you're not really focused on that?
Yeah, I mean, one of our guys on the baseball side started off as an intern, and now is really integral to what we do.
Did you catch that Conor fight?
Conor
McGregor?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you think of it? Are you an MMA fan, first of all?
I love MMA.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Are you a boxing fan?
I love boxing historically. I would say that, like, the current state of boxing, I'm not a huge fan of. I think that if the world would be a better place if we had 2 heavyweight fighters to root for.
Yes.
But we don't.
Right.
We have 2, but they're brothers and they won't fight each other. So, we're in a weird situation right now in that sport. I don't think a lot of people are like, "Oh, boxing's dead. MMA is a better model." Like, let's table that argument for a second, and let's just say, like, let's get the right people in boxing, and when we have that, then let's resume the argument.
People across the board, not athletes, but people on the other side.
No question. Yeah.
Not that Showtime guy. I don't know his name, but I was like sick of that dude. Through the whole promo of this McGregor, I didn't know who he was previously because I'm not a boxing fan.
Yeah.
But I got a taste of what the boxing promotion side was all about, and I'm good, player.
Yeah, I'm all set.
Yeah, dude. So what'd you think of the fight, though?
Sloppy.
Sloppy.
Yeah, it was. I guess it was somewhat entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
It was better than watching him shadow box Pacquiao and Canelo and whatever jabronis he fought before Canelo.
Right.
Like, I think that, man, like, I'm a conspiracy guy, but, like, here's how I feel about it. If Floyd Mayweather's people came up to you and said, like, let's talk. You're going to fight me, and you're going to lose. And I'll make you more money than any other fight you ever made in your entire life combined. And going forward, your earning power is going to be 3 times greater. You go in and lose that fight.
Happily.
No problem.
Happily.
No problem.
Especially because Conor knows how to parlay the opportunity. He said,
Connor's not even a boxer. Like, he doesn't care.
He said, you give me that opportunity, I'll take it from there, player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, the fight didn't look fixed, but
No.
it did look like there was something weird going on until the 4th round. Like they were trying to make it up. It has to go 4 rounds for it to be like a declared fight or something in the boxing world. Mm-hmm. Something looked weird there.
I don't know. I know that they want to get the most out of their, all their advertising spends too. All the people that, pay money for signage and brought to you buys and, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Before we get out of sports too far, I mean, this is kind of like the tail end of it, talking about the fights. What have you heard of that kid, Vernon Adams?
Quarterback?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that kid is a stud.
Mm-hmm.
He's on Montreal, right?
I think so.
Oh my God, I just remember him because I played him in college.
Mm-hmm.
He went to EWU when I went to Sac State, and he played with Bo Levi.
Yeah.
Bo Levi. At the same
Bo
time,
Levi's a stud, man.
they're both fucking studs. We had to deal with both of them, dude. They shredded us. They're both playing in Canada, right?
Yeah, Bo Levi's like the best player in the CFL.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And he's on Calgary.
Yeah.
Man, I just tried to
Bo
keep...
Levi has a special place in my heart because of Eric. Eric was his #1 receiver for a season and a half.
Okay, so they have a connection.
Bo Levi made me some money.
Yes, he did.
So
That's
you,
right.
Bo Levi.
That's goddamn
Yeah.
right. You think he'll make his way down to the NFL, or does he...
He's better than... I mean, and this is just my opinion, but he's better than a lot of roster quarterbacks. Like, a lot.
He was an SMU guy, right?
I'm not sure if that's where he started. I know he's a Texas guy.
Texas.
Like that he was born in the state of Texas. As I am, you can fact check me on that, but I think so.
Next week we'll have an assistant here so they can actually fact check us live
As we go.
Yeah, man. I put out some feelers and thank goodness I got a really good response. So hopefully I can have someone here doing the setup that I was doing.
Cool. Pay him for like 2 hours. No big deal.
Hopefully somebody wants to do it for free so they could be involved in the most interesting real estate podcast out there. So what do you do with your free time, man? So let's talk about 2 situations. So say you have 2 hours of free time. What are you going to do with it now?
Man, I don't have a whole lot of free time, to be honest.
Say you did.
Hypothetically, I'd probably spend it with my fiance and my dog, man. Like, I'd probably, like, I carve out time to go to the gym. I hurt my back 2.5 years ago, so I've just been able to start working out again over the last 1.5 years, and that's been nice. I was completely sedentary for almost 2 years, and I can't tell you how much it changed me as a person. So it's a blessing to be able to do it again. So I try and do that. What
kind of dog you have?
She's a Cocker Spaniel Poodle mix. She's amazing. She's 8 years old. She's a great dog.
Call that
Her name's Daisy.
What do you call that?
Cockapoo.
Cockapoo.
We've had her since we were at SC. So she's like the last link to the college days. I don't know. We watch TV shows.
You watch a lot of shows.
Mm-hmm. I like to get to a movie if I can. I just saw that movie Wind River over Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day weekend. That was cool. You should check that out.
Wind River, is it in theaters?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Ideally, I would like to travel more. Like, I like to go more places not for work. Like, I travel so much for work, and it's all the places you don't want to go.
Yeah, I was just going to... Yeah, you're going to Western Colorado State. Mm-hmm. Western State, Colorado.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
Going to Gunnison, going to Fargo, North Dakota, going to, Terre Haute, Indiana.
Like 5 hours from an airport.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So what are you doing with 2 days of free time? So 2 hours, you're chilling with your dog, chilling with your woman, maybe doing something active. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much what I would do too. What about 2 days? Checked out. You have 0 responsibility.
I'd probably try and go for a quickie vacation somewhere. Like, honestly, somewhere warm, somewhere with sand.
Maybe Baja. Mm-hmm. Get down to Baja for a couple days. I hear you there. So, no, do you hunt?
I don't. I like to fish. I've never hunted, but I would like to hunt. I don't know how I feel about hunting big game like elk and whatnot. Like, but I would go duck hunting or something like that, or pheasant or quail.
I'm the complete opposite. So I like big game hunting, but I do it with a bow.
Right. That's fair.
Yeah, I don't
That's
rifle
fair.
hunt. I don't even really own a rifle. I own a couple pistols, but it's bow hunting season. So if I had a couple days, I'd probably get out into the woods and try to bring home a deer.
Yeah.
It's fucking hard, man.
It's hard.
Oh my god, I picked it up like
I saw Bo Jackson doing that thing where he was like fletching his own arrows and bow, and I'm like, dude, if that's how you're hunting, like, tip of the cap, like, do your thing, man.
yeah, seriously, no qualm.
No
with
shame in that game.
at all. But yeah, I'm trying to get one with a bow. I'd probably do that if I had 2 days. I picked it up like 3 years ago. You know, gained like a ton of popularity, and I'm like, I like hiking. Sounds fun. I'm gonna give it a shot. Fell in love with it. So cool, man. I really appreciate you coming by.
pleasure.